Hey everybody, Steve Scott here, and just a quick opener here for this video we're going to do on Uchikomi training. We're going to show you some standard Uchikomi training, but we're also going to get very specific and isolate some movements as well in this. So Uchikomi is a great exercise you can do off the mat, and so this video is going to show you some of the methods that I like and some other people like, and you can invent some of your own ways too. So, all right, so thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, let's take a look at just standard Uchikomi, using in this particular case a band, a nice stretchy band. Again, use the level, the strength level, resistance level you want, or whatever band you wish. You can do the same thing with a belt. A Judo Obi is perfectly okay. But a lot of you guys, and I certainly agree with you, using a band really does help get a little more, more resistance. It's just a good. So anyway. You all know how to do this. I'm kind of preaching the choir with you guys. I just make sure I don't have to flap it up here, so I'll wrap it a bit. And I'm going to pull, okay, and I want to keep good form all the way. Okay, I want to come in all the way and keep good form every time. Okay? So if you're criticizing my form, I apologize. But you got the idea. And you can do these as fast or as slow as you wish. So this is like your basic Uchikomi. When you're doing Uchikomi off the mat, you can do, like 10, a set of 10, like 10 sets of 10, and you're really concentrating on a certain thing you want to do in that Uchikomi. I might be doing a set of 100, and I want to do them for speed. So that's working in addition to my form, my aerobic capacity as well. I'm trying to get down here low enough if I'm in camera range. So, I want to make sure I have a specific purpose why I'm doing the Uchikomi. And I just might want to come in and bang out, several hundred a day, and that's good. I can do that, and I'll be working a lot of cardio at the same time. But I also like to kind of focus on, like I said, I like to focus on specific things. So if I'm going to do a set of 10 Uchikomi, I'm going to make sure I'm really working on maybe the aspects of, maybe I'm trying to work out a new type of a throw, and I want to get all the kinks out of it, okay? So, or I may want to really focus on, some aspect of that throw, where I'm going to do a lower number of repetitions, and focus on the form, okay? Well, then again, I may want to do a higher number of repetitions for aerobic capacity, increase my cardio, and also just get a lot of reps in that I know I've got the good form down, and I'm going to do them. And it really, once you get the form down, you got your form, and again, personalize it the way you do that throw. Once you personalize it, then do lots and lots of repetitions. I mean, thousands. Okay, that's just basically it. So get your gear, here you go, and just come in and just lots of Uchikomis. And just keep working in it. Now I like to do, I always did, a Seoi-nage type movement. I never really did Morote Seoi-nage much, but this pulling hand and having this here, I was Seoi-nage, I like Seoi-nage, or Surikomi, lifting there. Basically by doing this type of movement here, it's kind of a generic way of having my surite here, okay? So the key thing here is just to make sure I have good form every time. And that's it. All right, so those are some basic, that's a basic Uchikomi off the mat. And hopefully you'll see some other things here on the video that will isolate and help you, get specific points and specific areas in your Uchikomi training off the mat. So, there we go. This is where you can practice your Uchikomi for throwing techniques with a belt, a cable crossover unit in your gym. Great off the mat training. And we're going to use some resistance, some weighted resistance here with the cable crossover machine here. Put it on fairly moderate weight you can move, okay? So when I come and do the Uchikomi, I want to be able to move this weight and do some pulling with it. I want to get the feel of actually doing a movement like I would on the mat. I'm using a belt you can use, and they have them commercially, I'm sure. Sleeves like Judo gi material, Judo gi itself. You can hook up a Judo gi if you want to, For that matter, put a little dummy there if you want to. I don't care, but I've always used a belt that's really, and it's the most readily thing you can grab. So use a good old Judo belt and get a grip here. My pulling hand, I'm going to have my belt a little longer than my lifting hand, okay, my power hand. So I'm going to use that a little wider link out here. So I'm going to hold a little closer in up here because there's less movement in this arm here. Okay, I'm going to do it right side. All right, so basically I've got it with some moderate weight. I've got it hooked up high. I would say hook it up high, or at least, you know, a little higher than you. And a little higher than shoulder level, about head level. Mine's a little higher than that because it's fixed up there at that point. But I'm going to be doing uchikomis and pulling the weight, actually using the weight. Not just uchikomi on a bar, which is great, you know, with like a pole or something, you can do that. But again, I might also add, don't use rubber tubing for this because it tends to pull in addition to the weight you're pulling. Use something that's cloth, like a judo-gi, you know, sleeve, or a belt like this that you can pull. Okay, something, a rope even, if you got nothing of that, a rope is good too. But I like this. So what we're going to do is maintain strict form, just like we would in every other uchikomi. You know, turn the back of your hand, look at it, turn your body, the whole thing, set your power hand, the whole business here. And when we come in, just and then pull. And you set yourself where you're nice position where I'm just going to throw the guy, and I'm just pulling, pulling, pulling. You know, like Serinagi type movement, you know, Tarotoshi type of Serinagi, hand up like this, pulling here like this. See how the rotation turn? Now, come out further, you can pull more. And again, don't break your form, use good form, but just keep pulling all the way forward, through. Yeah. So you can do that as a set, fixed movement just like that, where you're standing your ground and you're pulling, just like pulling. And you can adjust this. You notice I came in a little higher here, just set a little closer to the unit, and I just pulled this way. Where I can use partial movements where I'm pulling. See that? Again, I'm turning, trying to use good strict form. Now I can cover the whole uchikomi movement, the whole fitting in movement, and just lift. So I stand a little further out, okay? And when I come in, just stay in. Just come in, try to use better form than I'm using, but you get the idea, okay? See how I'm doing? Just coming in. I'm trying to use the best form as you can. I'm flopping around here like I can't dance, but you get the idea. Again, I have gym shoes on, just like on the mat. If you can have a nice area here that's nice and clean, you don't have to wear shoes. Don't wear shoes, because we don't wear shoes when we compete unless we're doing Sambo, but then you don't have big clunky gym shoes like this. So you may have to do like I'm doing here on my filthy little gym floor, but I like it anyway. Keep your shoes on. But that's how to do uchikomi, basic uchikomi, with a belt and cable crossover unit and moderate amount of weight. Remember, don't break form. Try to keep as good a technical form as you can and work the muscles that are actually used in throwing. Okay, let's look at specific muscles we can use for throwing, and we're using our cable crossover unit here and our judo belt, okay? Now, we're going to work right now on our pulling hand, our hikite, the sleeve hand. Okay, this pulls it across. Now, there's more than one way of just pulling this way. There's a lot of ways to use this pulling hand, I get it. But for this type of movement, for this type of exercise here, I'm going to work on this movement, the standard pulling, lifting, pulling type movement we use. So I'm going to get my belt here, and I'm going to hold it and wrap it where it's good and tight. Again, you can use the sleeves, the judo-gi sleeves that are out available commercially, or the judo-gi itself. Just gi material. Belt is good solid material and works quite well for me. So I'm going to hold here, and what I'm going to work on now is just the pulling action. And I'm going to hold the belt with my other hand like this, just to kind of anchor it, okay? And I'm going to stand. Now I can do it several ways. I'm going to show you. But the basic way is I'm standing sideways and I'm just pulling. So I'm pulling out, working on this movement here. Again, I'm working on really the entire upper back muscle structure here on the left side, my triceps, my delts, certainly my arms and my forearms, I mean biceps, triceps, and also forearms, and like this. So when I'm doing this, and turn your head. Now, a lot of you guys do this already. That's great. You're probably doing it on a fixed object. That's great. You can do that as well. I like to use weights because it really does feel like I'm pulling and because I really am pulling, and it really replicates the pulling, the hikite, the pulling action with using my hand in a throw. So again, like that. Now if I want to add a little more here with my forearm here like this to make it a little more realistic, like this is my power hand, my surite, I'll keep this here and I'll lift like this. And just kind of, I'm not using this at all, just holding on to it's just attached to the belt here. Just my forearm is at the belt, and I just turn it. And now I can use a little more body. See how I'm using more body here? Now I'm getting more turning to it. I'm not using this to pull, it's just here, it's an anchor. Turning here. And you can change it as you want, or just stay with this hand like this. You can make any alterations you want. You see how I'm rotating here? Yeah? And that's good. You can do this as a step in. Okay, as I'm just stepping in, pull. Don't even use this hand. You can set it up. It kind of looks like an Uchikomi, but it's not really. Just kind of keep this out of the way and just pull. 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 So you can see how you're using your pulling on your hikite. Or you can just stand here and look at it and just pull. You're closer. You want to grab a little closer up into here. Or you can get a little higher up here. You're just isolating the muscles you're using when you're pulling in a throw. Let's look at how we can use the surite, the lifting hand, the power hand, in a throw to practice our strength in actually throwing, okay? Now, you're going to use a light to moderate weight in your cable crossover unit here with my Judo belt. I'm still going to hold one with my other hand because I want to try to make it fairly realistic. A little longer out here, there we go. This is the hand I'm exercising here, okay? So when I'm pulling here, I'm not going to be pulling so much. Well, we have to do to some degree here, but I'm really going to emphasize this movement here, like a sei-nage type movement, or set your power hand here like a tai-otoshi type thing. So my hand here doesn't do a lot of work. This is the hikite. We've already isolated this before, but now this is the one. Okay, so when I do this and I come in, make sure you come in and just emphasize here. So I'm going a little higher. So this is more of a tai-otoshi because again, you set your hand here on your tai-otoshi, there's like that. Okay, now look at this. See how I'm holding on here, this is wrapped, but I'm really using my forearm right here on the belt. I'm not using my left hand at all. It's all right-handed here. And I don't want to break form. I want elbow down, fist up. See that? Get that turning rotation. It develops good torque in a throw, but you develop, a lot of torque comes from that hand action too. So if you're like this, for your sei-nage or your tai-otoshi type movement, like this, okay? This is also good if you, big tall guy like me, I would grab in the back and suck him up like this. Same type of movement here, like this. See the movement here? Lost balance there, we go. Now, if you want more of a sei-nage movement, come a little lower out, So don't grab as high on the belt to where it's fixed up here. So we're going to do more of a sei-nage. Again, sei-nage is a lot of pull, right? We know that. We've already worked on that. The hikite, we've already worked on that hand, the pulling hand. This is the hand we're emphasizing here. The surite, okay, the power hand. So when I come into my morote sei-nage type action, I'm going to curl it in and go like this. You see this here like this? Now again, I could be doing these fixed and doing the same thing. See that? And I'm just using my right hand. I'm not using my left hand at all. So I'm not even moving that. You can also just, if you want to, just grab. I like to get both hands into it. I think it feels better and it's more replicates a throw better, so I like to have my left hand here, even if I don't use it, okay? But this hand here is more of a sei-nage movement here, like that, and it's close. I can do it like this position here, or fixed, or I can come in all the way. I come in here, all this hand here. So we can use this a lot of ways. Again, I like to hold here. If I just want to work on moving a guy, try not to let it hit. Don't let your weights clank, especially in your own gym. I should know better. So arm turning, developing elbow down, fist up, turning into it, getting a rotation movement into a throw. So that's how a good way to develop your surite, your power hand, your lifting hand, using belts and a cable crossover unit. Okay, let's look at now specifics. In fact, I'm going to isolate my upper body in the pulling action of an uchikomi. Okay, so I'm not even using the lower half of my body here. The emphasis here is on the shoulder rotation and the turning. Okay, and so this is to increase power in a throw and to finish a throw. Because when I come in and get my body in total position, I want to be able to finish it. This is for that. It's also good for the start of a throw because I've got to pull. So you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm just sitting here on my bench, got my power rack behind me, got my bands here, and I'm just going to just get in position here, okay? And notice, my hands are in good position. I want to think about looking at the back of my wrist and all that stuff like we normally do in any good throwing technique. But I want to now just pull and come back out all the way fully. I might have to shorten my bands up a little bit. So I can get a little more resistance that I need. So, and pull. And I just keep pulling as much as I can in this type of isolated type exercise. It's an upper body exercise, and here we go. So you can see what we're doing here, and we're pulling. It could be pawn sainagi, same type of thing. Any type of hand configuration. I'm just doing a kind of a morote type thing here. But see the turning, and also look, I'm really thinking about my hand pull, my shoulder rotation, my head rotation, my trunk rotation. Okay, so everything is here like this, and that's what we're doing here. And I want to, like I'm finishing the throw. And that's the idea of just isolating the upper body on doing band uchikomis, okay? So there's a little bit of form there. So there you go, guys. This is what we're doing here. Isolation exercise for the upper body. Okay, here's another isolated exercise you can use for the hikite, and we're using a cable crossover unit here. We're using pretty light weight actually. Don't use a lot of weight. I want to keep my form very strict, and so I don't want to jerk and even cause an injury. So I want to make sure I get good clean movement here, good nice strict movement when I do this. I'm going to be pulling with my left hand and just in a hikite movement, but I'm going to be pulling up quite a bit. So this is a very exaggerated movement because we know we don't always pull up that high. So when we're throwing somebody, we turn like this. And I want to get this turn with a rotation as well. Now my right hand is not going to come into play at all. The fact is I'm going to just, let me wrap this up here good and tight here so I get, it doesn't flop around. The belt will flop around. And again, I'm using a belt. I'm not using a rubber band, okay? I'm using a belt. And again, it gives me a good feel of actually grabbing cloth too, but it doesn't stretch. My right hand, as I was going to say, I keep it isolated just on my hip, okay? Just keep it out of the way. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull, and again, very light weight. That's up to you how much you would use, but I would not use heavy weight at all. And what I want to do is pull and rotate as I do it, my whole head turn into it. And pull out all the way. Now, I can turn and just keep my elbow bent. That's okay too, if you want to do that. Or you can pull and get all this full extension all the way. There you see the on camera there. Or I can just pull like this, because that's generally what I'm really going to be doing. But if I do want to get that full extension to get a little more strength work, I can certainly do that. Again, isolate the hand here on the hip and turn. And as I do, my head goes with it. So I want to, again, keep good form. Turn the head into the throwing movement all the time. And again, we're just with the elbow. So here we are isolating just the hikite, the pulling hand, the cable crossover unit. Now we could use this same type of movement with a band on a fixed object and doing the same pulling. We could even pull across. We'll be showing that momentarily. So here we go. So here we have another isolated exercise for the hikite, the pulling hand, okay? And I've got a good old TheraBand here, nice rubber band. You can use any strength you wish. This is a fairly moderate pull. Some guys, they'd be big, thick ones. That's if you're strong enough to do that, fine. But remember, we want to keep good form here. So that's the point of this. So we want to isolate the movements of the body parts, the muscles, to specifically work on a very functional approach to doing this. So I'd say keep your weight moderate, keep your band moderate, where you can get a lot of good pulls in it, okay? That's so much on that. But we're going to grab here, and we're going to do a good hikite. We're going to two variations of it. Standard hikite is just pulling with the direct line of the pull as you would in an actual throw. And again, hand rotation, turn the head, we're rotating the whole body. Again, we're isolating the upper body here, okay? So we're doing this, and we're throwing. We're doing this. See the elbow out. Here, line of pull. Okay, we're out concentrating on that line of pull. And of course, you can grab in closer. If you want to get a little more work in it, you can certainly do that. See, I can get the rotation of the hand. I'd be grabbing the gi, turn here. Now that right hand, I was doing it wrong, put it here. Keep it isolated, keep it out of the way. Now if you want to keep this, you can do that, but this will come into play, so I'm really concentrating on this one. So keep this out of the way here. Your suritai, just keep it on your hip. I'm going like that. Okay, now the second level I can do this, or another level, probably more, but what I'm thinking of right now, is to pull up. So instead of pulling straight across the line of pull, I'm pulling up like this and kind of pulling away. That emphasizes a lot of shoulder. All the heads of the deltoid are being worked in this, certainly, and your triceps as well, okay? So I'm pulling up and out like this and turning the whole time. And I turn the whole time, and I could do this like this. That's fine, I'm still working the muscles. But again, I want to work functionally the muscles that I'll be using in a throw, and also I want to get in good habits of every time I throw, I want to turn the head. You know, where the head goes, the body follows, and so I want to make sure that I'm always turning my head and shoulders, and see a little bit of hip action here. Now I can do this without any hip action, the same thing. But you see what we're doing here. Okay, so we're isolating with a band the hikite movement, the pulling hand movement. Okay, let's concern ourselves now with a suritai. Suritai is the lifting hand, okay, and you know, the hikite is the pulling hand. My hikite is I'm going to have it here on my hip. Just keep it out of the way, just so I can isolate this. Okay. Now there are several exercises we can do here, but what I want to concentrate in. By the way, I'm using a band that's not too thick, not too thin, something I can manipulate quite well with. Okay. All right, and if I have any left over, I'll just wrap it around my hand. Okay, just to keep it out of the way. All right. So what I want to do is when I practice this, I want to keep good form in the arm. Okay, so if I'm say surikomi goshi, okay, a harai goshi, all right. Now, if you're a tall guy like me, you'll be wrapping around the head, so you might even change your grip, which we'll play with here in a bit. But the standard surikomi action, the lifting pulling action, let's get it out of the way, and I'm just going to practice again. Hand out of the way here, and I'm just going to practice turning. See, there's like turning. Keep my elbow down, fist up, and practice. I don't know if I catch the whole thing on the camera here, but you got the idea, okay? All right. Now you can also pull across like this, but again, keep good form. Fist up, elbow down, pull across like this. You may even want to lead with your fist. If some of your throws you're doing this, many are, so you might want to come across this way. But we're working the muscles, primarily the inside delts here, the whole shoulder area actually, the biceps into it, somewhat tricep work, certainly all under your back here, your upper back here, and these turning movement here. But we're concentrating on good form with the suritai action, okay, this hand here. All right, now if you're a seinagi guy, you might just sort of curl it over, okay, and I just curl it over like this. You know, these are all things you've probably thought of yourself, but I'm just showing you here. Now, I'm a tall guy. I like to reach around my opponent's neck, back grip a lot. So what I'm going to do is pretty much keep the same thing here, but I'm going to change the angle on my arm, okay? So it's more realistic of what I would actually do. All right, so I got my hand here, but here's my hikite out of the way, and I've got this, so I might have this here, and I might just practice turning this way. Just turning this way. And I'm sure, guys, these are all things you've thought of doing yourself, but you thought, well, maybe it's silly. No, it's not silly. You replicate it to make it you know, the movement is going to be how you would do it. Okay, you want to fit these exercises to fit your body type and to fit what throws you use and the style you have. So whatever you do in any of these exercises, fit it to your style of throwing, and that way it'll work better for you. It's more functional. The idea, of course, in any of these certainly isolated drills and all our Uchikomi drills off the mat is to enhance your throwing skills the way you throw. So personalize it any way you feel necessary. And again, play around with this. There are a lot of things you can do here with these bands and these surete. And I might add also, I'm not going to show it on the video here in this video we're showing today, but you can do the same thing with we're at the cable crossover unit. I can do the same thing by hooking it up on a cable crossover thing with a with a judo belt, an obi, and do the same type of thing. Okay, so you know that's totally possible too. We're just showing it with the bands here. One of the big reasons we train off-mat in our Uchikomi type training, in any of our off-mat training for that matter, is specificity of muscle development or skill development. And in this case, we're working on some Uchikomi drills, but we're working on pulling drills. So we're working on the muscles that will be applied in pulling. And these are what I call face pulls, okay? It's just an old bodybuilding exercise. You can do them standing and pulling with a cable crossover unit. You can do this with a band. You can do the band and do the same thing. I prefer to do these seated because I like to isolate these muscles, these shoulder muscles, and the pecs, the upper back, certainly triceps, everything you use in pulling. Now you can use a belt as well, but I'm just using handles here. As you can see, these are some good old gym handles we use. And what I'm going to do is, well, I'll show you. They're face pulls. I sit here, try to use as good a form as possible, and just pull. And again, the idea here is to isolate and develop the strength in the muscles we're isolating. Important thing, keep good firm back. You don't want to jerk. Okay, so don't use a lot of weight. Use just enough weight that you can do probably about 10 repetitions or so of good strict movement. Okay, you want good strict movement in this, and you don't want to jerk, because we're not jerking somebody, we're actually pulling somebody. But honestly, I think that a good steady rate of like 1, 2, 3, nothing real fast. Again, we're training for speed, but again, this is pretty much isolating the strength that can bring along the speed. So I'd say just keep a good firm, steady pace, and here we go. So, and again, I'm always watching the movement. I'm not doing this, looking away. We're pulling up. I'm watching the movement. But notice that I'm trying to keep as good a strict form as I possibly can. And these are face pulls. Obviously, you can see they're great for pulling, opening some up with a surikomi action. That's the purpose of this. So there we go, face pulls.